What's up, YouTube? Update on the bike here. Running okay. It was getting a little hot for a while there, but I flushed the coolant out and just replaced it with some fresh stuff, and it was running pretty good. All I basically did is I just drained it out of the old stuff, and then I filled it up with just plain Jane tap water, and which can be done in an emergency. But the problem is that it needs a rust inhibitor. A lot of the old muscle car guys, if I remember correctly, just like to use just plain tap water from the hose, and then they add a rust inhibitor to it. Now, obviously, that's something that you would never do, but I'm in Los Angeles here, and last time we saw snow was like 1970 or something like that, something ridiculous. Um, it just really doesn't get that cold around here. So the reason for a antifreeze material in there is so your engine doesn't explode when your coolant freezes. Water will just freeze, obviously. So it can be done for emergency. The only problem is that water tends to rust, which is why you'd want a rust inhibitor. I just want to stress, if anybody's watching this video, don't fill your radiator with water if the temperatures go below freezing, anywhere near freezing. So I just put some good coolant in it, or I don't even want to say good coolant, just whatever I had lying around here. I just like that stuff that's like that wild lime green color to it. It's cool because I can, instantly spot when I'm, got some kind of radiator leak. Problem. Taillight, brake light, not working. As you guys can see, I got a new brake lever right here, and it seems to be working fine for me. The only problem is brake lights don't work anymore. I'm a little PO'd about that. And the bike got very hot earlier today, really hot, and almost approached to red. And obviously I panicked out and brought it back to the garage immediately, killed the engine, sat it in front of a fan for a while. It's my just old 1970s workshop fan here. So once I had it cooled down, I decided that yeah, I had to swap out that coolant. So quick drain, and then put in tap water, and then ran it, I don't know, about 2 miles on tap water, and then flushed that jazz out, and then just put some new coolant in, and did the same thing that I got it to red, and just basically leaving it in low gear and just driving around, just overworking the engine and underworking the airflow over the radiator. I didn't even get past more than 30%. What I just checked that was interesting just a minute ago is the battery water was really low. And here I am wondering why it takes a jump starter to crank the thing over, you know what I mean? Well, obviously right there, that's, I don't know why I didn't check that one earlier. The volts seemed low, but I mean, I want to see what happens with, the thing properly full of water to match all the cells, and, a good charge. As you guys can see, I've got my my old reliable jump starter / charger on here for a trickle charge, and I want to see if I can get those volts enough to just reliably give it a cold start. Because I'm at the point where it's, it's just performing okay. It's just a question of the stupid cold starts. It's where it's at. And then there's another issue. This is the biggest issue in my mind, and I don't know if I'm imagining this. I don't know if there's any truth to it, but I could swear I'm getting a lot of like phantom fishtail. I really don't know how to describe it other than that, but I almost feel like I'm getting a mild drift as I'm coming out of a turn. And I'm wondering if the swing arm has been compromised in some way, or something like this, something to cause some kind of drift to it. And handlebars are straight, but I think I need to get a piece of string or something like this and measure this down to the 1/8 of an inch between, left axle to left side front of the frame of the bike. I'll find some good reference point or something like, where the engine bars or something like this. Or, maybe get the wheel just 100% true, and I'll go axle to axle, and see what I come up with as far as distance and numbers. I'm having a hard time if it's just in my head or what the hell's going on, or if the wheel is actually canted one direction or another. I mean, I'm looking at the thing and I'm not seeing a run out just by eyeballing it. So who knows on that. Hopefully that water will get it a little bit more reliable again. Let's see, I've got my ratty old seat, and in addition to that new lever, I got, I'm going to call this, I don't know, 90% quality right here. Guy out in North Hollywood sold me this thing and the lever for 30 bucks. So score on that. He had it was either the right or the left fairing, but he only had one. Otherwise, I probably would have just purchased it on the spot because I'm tired of looking at this thing. I got a replacement bulb, and she's working good. And a little bit of glue actually got the thing back together, and if it's holding up, it's, 55 miles an hour. I think it's okay. So, for the time being, I'm going to investigate that frame because, I don't like that fishtail feeling, and I just seem to get that more and more, and I'm worried that something is loosening up or something like this. I think this is probably a fantastic moment to check, the axle. I'm sure there's a better term for that, and see if maybe the chain is actually pulling the axle forward, or if it's loose, or what the hell is going on. I don't know if you guys at home can see that actually, that rubbing mark right there. I don't know how long that's been there for. Might have been when I got the bike, who knows. And wouldn't be a bad idea to calibrate, for lack of a better term, the swing arm and see if, for some reason under tension of chain, tension of the engine, maybe that the wheel is being canted under the force of the engine just a little bit. That would explain a couple things there, because I'm getting the feeling like I'm getting drift. I'm getting drift on this thing. Like the tail just wants to swing out after a turn and vice versa. Like maybe something's loose back here. Because I just don't feel the grip to the road that I should. And like I said, I'm used to smaller bikes. I'm used to, lighter things where I really have more of the control on the road. And once again, don't know if it's me or the bike. And I guess that's just a conundrum, something that I'll never really understand completely. Still need that air box. Haven't been taking any road trips. The most distance I put on this thing since I've owned it is probably like 6 miles tops at this point. Not a bad idea to get that air box rocking. And Speedo's working good. Tack is still not working, and cry, cry, cry. I really wish I had a tachometer. I might look into some kind of cheap aftermarket thing or something like this. I'm hoping that it's just bad wiring. Don't know too much about motorcycles, but I assume that there's some kind of generator inside the engine itself, and what's going on is it's generating, volts, and volts are directly correlating to, what that needle is doing. It's just basically a glorified voltmeter. At least this is my theory on this one. Everything seems to be working okay. It just, man, that rear end is just so ugly without side fairings on it. And so far, I've just gotten away with just keeping this bike as cheap as possible. And I really mean that. I mean, I'm into this thing for about 500, another 40 bucks with rattle can paints, and I gotta obviously use more paint there. 40 bucks rattle can paint, another 20 bucks on spark plug removing tools. When I top off fluids, it's all crap that I have sitting around in my garage anyway here. So, see where this project takes me. I'm having fun, I'm learning stuff, and quite honestly, not to sound like, like an after school special, but, You know, I just really do appreciate knowledge at this point in my life, especially about the stuff that interests me. And to be self-reliant is just priceless. That's just how I see it. Well, until then, YouTube, I'm going to let this guy charge overnight here, see how it goes, check it in an hour for excessive heat. But I think that I should notice a difference tomorrow in starting and stopping, because it's just that those cold cranking amps, that's what I'm lacking in this. Because it's the strangest thing, I'll hook it up to the charger. I'll hook it up to, yeah, the charger slash starter, and then boom, she fires up after 60 seconds of wanting to fire up, which is the real difference in it. And the interesting thing is I don't hear anything in my ear as far as starting RPMs. I hear the same cranking speed. I hear the same movement to it. The only thing I notice that's different is I hear the fuel pump priming a lot faster, you know, with the starter on it, and I feel I feel like I'm definitely getting a better start with the charger on there. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. See if there's any kind of difference to it. And that's about all for now. Yeah, that's it for today, YouTube.